someone with a connective tissue disorder, it's genetic.
There it is.
Yeah.
Would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
Yeah.
But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not?
No.
So
Look how scared she
choose
got.
as a psychologist. You're choosing who gets to determine what my mental health looks like. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
I actually have that. And I'm not a victim, just to be clear. Everyone has their stuff. I have a duty to take care of my family and contribute to society, whether my knees, shoulder, chest need to be replaced or not. Speaking of change my mind, Patrick Bet David, he did the change my mind with a timer.
Surrounded by retards.
Yes, surrounded. And full disclosure, again, I am biased here because Patrick Bet David has been very, not only just kind to us here as a show, but he's been very kind to me personally. Just a very generous guy. So no one's perfect. I know people have their criticisms, but I really like the guy. I'm biased. You're not going to hear me say a bad word about him. That being said, objectively, he did something on this Surrounded program more effectively than I think anybody else did. Everyone's talking about the owns and the gotcha and, oh, these young kids are so dumb. Yeah, okay, we know all that. What he did here, and he's probably the only person who would be able to do that because of his business success, is in the sense that he could actually avail some opportunities to them. He could actually offer a job. He could actually offer to send people to the communist country of their choice, and he could actually deliver. I don't know that there are many other people who would have the resources to do that. His presence, his mere existence, sitting down in this chair, it provided a masterclass in excuse making, and that's what we saw. That was, for me, the biggest takeaway.
Our minimum wage nationally is $7.25.
Okay.
And you wonder why we have the highest poverty rate. You think that capitalism's winning?
There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is survival. When you get into communism, the incentive is for the common good.
Can you survive? Would you like to live off $7.25
I
an
used to
hour?
work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I
and that
went
was
and
a very
worked
different
at
time.
Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make now?
Then I went to, I make millions today.
I've applied to I don't know how many hundreds of jobs.
And that's why you like capitalism, because we're not all making that.
But
and
the
that's
difference
my point.
is, if I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend the money.
Name me a communist country.
Would you give up your citizenship to
Name
go
me
to
a
that
communist country.
So if I give you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good, I think I could.
Whichever communist country you want to go to.
yeah,
Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to.
Communist countries, not
Choose any one of them, I'll give you a one-way ticket and I'll fund it for you if you want it. But
a millionaire is critiquing the people in poverty and saying, you should work harder.
You consider yourself a hard worker.
I mean, I feel like 80 hours a week.
That's a hard worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview you and I give you a job? Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida.
You have to be comfortable with this. You are with 13-year-olds all the time?
Because of my job, because I'm a substitute teacher and a tutor. The thing is, you can imply many different things, and that is your right.
First off, I don't want any of my children taught by Wendy transitioning. So that's, in case you wonder why your kids are being indoctrinated, it's this person.
Yeah, no kidding.
I can guarantee you this person didn't apply for hundreds of jobs. I can guarantee you that. And I understand, by the way, that younger people, the housing market, it's a scam. When you look at some of these giant corporations, Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, buying it up and artificially manipulating the supply and demand factors in the housing. I get it. I understand that there isn't the kind of job security, even if you're basically a nutless monkey, you could work at a company in the 1950s or 60s for your amount of time that was allotted and you get a pension no matter what. I get that. But people also have to acknowledge the excuses that come generationally. I mean, I've applied to all these jobs. Well, if it's something noble, and no, you take any job you can get. And here's the problem is first off, they do the No True Scotsman, right? You can go to our segment last week on Cuba and see every single mainstream celebrity who supported communism. They said Cuba was the right communism. They said Venezuela was the right communism up to and including the early 2000 teens. And now they go, no, not that. There still isn't one example of communism according to them. But everything is an excuse. And someone like Patrick Bet David, right? He was trying to explain to them, I was born very poor. My mother, she ran out of money. She went back to Iran. Like, oh, yeah, but now you're rich. So if you're poor as a byproduct of the systemic oppression of the system. And if you're rich, now, even if you were born poor or raised poor, it doesn't matter. Your wisdom can't apply because now you're successful. There's no way to win. These people had an excuse for everything. And that is exactly what progressives in the 1960s and feminists, all of it, this unholy amalgamate, set out to do. None of it is your fault. And someone else needs to pay for it.
Yeah. But by the way, he is the exact person you should listen to if you're poor. I used to be exactly like you. Here's how I'm not today. That's the perfect person to listen to. Whether or not they're right or not, you can determine for yourself. But it's the person who lived where you are and is now not living where you are anymore. So shouldn't you listen to that advice?
Well, you're not poor now, so how can you tell me that?
Well, because I used to be poor and I didn't want to be poor, so I am not poor now. Would you also like to not be poor?
Right.
There you go.
Of course you like the system that you use to be successful.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Successful.
And by the way, you know how using the system is for Patrick Bet? It's work your ass off.
Yes. The 80-hour week
That's
guy,
most people.
Guarantee you, he did not work and does not work 80 hours a week.
No,
very
he
few
doesn't.
people do.
No, yeah, it's very rare.
It's a talking point.
Yeah, it's a talking point. I went years working 70-plus hour weeks. 80 hours is really tough for a lot of it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're on call, people will consider that to be working hours. But every single person had an excuse. And there is a difference, I will say, that I have noticed. And this is my generation too, right? Millennials. Where we used to, think our parents were kind of crotchety, but value wisdom to some degree. For example, I wasn't around for the Beatles. I wasn't around for AC/DC or Zeppelin, but I know about them. It wasn't, what's that music? Okay, boomer. Right? Again, my parents are actual boomers. Like, okay, well, what do you have to, I'm sure there's something you have to offer because you're older than me. There's a blissful ignorance with a lot of these young people. And they'll just tell you that you don't know because you don't live in the same world. You're right. He didn't. Duncan wasn't paying $22.50 an hour for starting jobs. Right? There is more opportunity in a lot of ways here. And here's another one. And I just wanted to kind of laser in on this because here's a girl where there is an excuse around every single corner. And a part of me is empathetic because our public education system, just like Wendy transitioning there, I guess as a substitute teacher, has failed these people because it's told them that they can control nothing. Basically, the idea that, it's just however the universe guides me. I understand it. You do your best and then you give the rest to God. I get it. But isn't it funny that people who have faith tend to be true practicing Christians, those who are more proactive and set a plan in motion, right? Say a prayer, set a guard. You've heard that? These people, it's all out of my hands, and then there's an excuse. So this girl talks about how she's mentally ill. He offers to get her treatment, which ultimately she discards. She rejects. But she even mentions in there her disability. And I wanted to touch on that because I don't talk about it a whole lot, but it is exactly what I've gone through. And I'll just give you two different approaches. Here she is.
I'm mainly mentally ill because I am disabled in a capitalist country.
Tell me more about mentally ill. Who qualified you as somebody that's mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
What's the specific category? There is a market where there's profit to convince you that you have issues to take the medication because they're making money.
Yeah, but I don't have access to the medication. I don't have access to even a result or a solution to my disability as someone with a connective tissue disorder. It's genetic.
There it is.
Yeah.
Would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
Yeah.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialist?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
I'm going to have you go see two. Do you live in California?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you go see two specialists, but would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not?
No.
So
Look how scared she got.
You choose as a psychologist, you're choosing who gets to determine what my mental health looks like. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
So two things. Take that mindset, apply it to getting hormone therapy. How easy do you think it is for a teenager to get a doctor to say, yeah, you should be on puberty blockers? You just doctor shop. It's what Rush Limbaugh was tarred and feathered for, and he admitted it. Painkillers. He had a painkiller addiction. He would doctor shop. People are doing that now with fake dicks. Do you understand that? Also, so she goes on there, and I don't talk about this a lot, but it's a pretty big saga having to kind of go through this in my life. She says, a connective tissue disorder. I actually have that, and I'm not a victim, just to be clear. Everyone has their stuff. Ehlers-Danlos. and the reason I'm bringing this up is because, hey, look, if this girl, if you're watching, if you're listening, there is a way to overcome it. First off, you don't really need a specialist. So Ehlers-Danlos is a connective tissue disorder. Maybe she has Morphan syndrome, something else. But that basically means my body does not assimilate collagen. So that's why I've had so many surgeries, my connective tissue ligaments, right? I have this like stretchy skin. Basically, I'm like the glass man in my joints. It's been going on for a long time. I had to be proactive in it, though. You can genetically test for this. Let me tell you what you go through. And I'll read you right here. This is from my genetic test. Coding mutations found in TNXB and uncommon mutations were found in FBN2, ZNF469, COL12A1, COL5A2, and P3H1. So I had these tests back. Okay, genetically you have this condition, all right? These are just markers. Then I had to go get some clinical diagnostic testing, mobility testing. I did some of this at Mayo. Okay, and they go, yeah, you actually, like, your joints bend backwards. There's a lot of slack, and oh my gosh, you're gonna have to get a knee replacement and a shoulder replacement. And then we went through this where the cartilage in my sternum was caving in, and so I had to go get surgery. I had, by the way, about 40% lowered stroke volume from my heart. My lips used to turn blue on this show. I would have a signal to Gerald because I'd have to catch my breath because my sternum was caving in on my lung and heart. I'll tell you what it's like. It sucks. Okay, it sucks. Regularly, everything hurts. I have to warm up when I get out of bed. I constantly get injured. I can't recover. At best, I can train 2 times a week. It affects my sleep, and the pain gets to a point where my brain kind of burns out and everything becomes a blur, and it's difficult to focus. But it's better than stage 4 cancer. And if I had stage 4 cancer, but my kids are still alive. I've known people who've had to bury their daughters, had to bury their sons. I'm grateful for that. And more importantly, I have a duty to take care of my family and contribute to society, whether my knees, shoulder, chest need to be replaced or not. Do you think people came back from the Civil War with bayonet wounds and just said, fend for yourself? Yes, it's true. When people, you just don't know what this world is like. Correct. There are different challenges. But the world back then, the shit that people had to push through was worse. You know what was really worse? Communism. What do you think they had to deal with in the gulags? What do you think Uyghurs have to deal with in communist China? Everyone has their stuff. And it sucks. And sometimes you have a tougher break and your stuff is worse than the next guy or girl. Guess what? There's something you can do about it. And in this case, someone else was willing to do something about it. And you said no. Why? Because you wanted to get the diagnosis and the kind of help that you deem to be most appropriate.
Self-diagnosed, she said.
Yeah, I wonder when she got back from medical school.
Probably right after she grew her mullet.
Yeah. Trust the science. No, I'm going to pick the doctor.
I wonder how she would deal with a communist state not letting her pick her own mental health doctor, let alone recognizing mental health at all.
I wonder how she would deal with a communist state that, by the way, would exterminate any and all actual genderqueers. You understand that, right? They're the first to go because they're not useful in repopulating society. I'm not advocating that at all, but these people they fail to recognize that whether it's Stalinist Russia, whether it's Maoist China, whether it's Guevara revolutionary Cuba, they always bitched about degeneracy and decadence. Why? Because their resources slimmed down. And you're a useless, non-contributing member of society. You're a number on a page that needs to be erased, according to them. And I think Patrick Bet-David did a really good job in exposing that. And I think it's really scary. And I think we need to stop treating people like this as though they are equal to every other member of society. I'm sorry, I don't think so. I don't think, if you don't work, if you choose not to work, if you don't contribute, if you don't pay taxes, you don't get the same say. You shouldn't. And by the way, throughout all of human history, you didn't. You can thank socialists and universal suffrage for that. It wasn't a female voting thing. It was most males couldn't vote in the early 1900s. Did you know that? That's why we find ourselves here. It's people using non-contributors. It's people using, I hate to use the term, parasites. A parasite's vote counts for the exact same amount as its host. Explain to me the math on that. Also, Patrick Bet-David.
90% person and 70% parasite.
That's right. Look, if I'm a 90% host, okay, but you're like a 65% parasite, and you're attaching yourself to my bicep, right? It's not the biggest bicep, but it's a very big bicep. I'm the guy with the big bicep. 75%. Congratulations. Now I'm going to give you 10% off the top. We both make 90%.
Hey.
What?
It sounds good.
Thanks. I love that.
He always goes into these percentages and stuff like, wait, what's happening? And he always breaks stuff down. All right, I'm going to put that to the side, okay? But I'm going to break this down right here on this weight. All right, what? Why would I put it to the side? Because I like to put things on the side, do this with my hands, okay? I'm going to put that over here, but I'm going to bring this right here now, all right? Because I'm the guy who does that. What? It's just, but here's the thing. Everyone has their thing. Everyone has their thing. And I would imagine that being an Iranian, I guess, refugee or his family in the United States, and certainly in the era of post 9/11, probably had some difficulty coming from a divorced household. Probably was tough. But none of that matters, even when Patrick Bet-David was trying to be encouraging to this young man, telling him that he actually had, he had interpersonal skills. The guy, rather than taking the compliment and the gift, he made a point that Patrick Bet-David can't know what it's like for people now in this generation because he's tall? I don't know.
Do you know somebody like you that speaks this eloquently? If somebody gets a hold of you in real estate, insurance, finance, you can learn how to sell and you can make some real good money. Somebody like you that I'm watching.
Not everybody's born with those abilities. You have to be somebody who's white, tall, 6'4", whatever. They're much more
Middle Eastern. I'm from Iran. Do you realize a lot of stuff that goes against me?
Yes. Yes, a lot does. It was an exercise in futility. These people wouldn't hear any of it.
No.
None of it. None of it. And that's part of the reason that, changed my mind that I haven't done in a while. And I'm glad that people have sort of taken. I don't like that these things have been modified where it's now scoring and the minute you add a vote of people going, oh, I'm done with this, that encourages controversy, that encourages clickbait as far as I'm concerned, and it's no longer organic. But I don't really know that you can have conversations with people like this. That could be selection bias. It wasn't even in one ear and out the other. It went in no ears, like a snake.
He just offered to pay a girl who literally just said, I can't afford, and listed all the things, diagnosed herself, claimed she had a doctor team that also diagnosed her, and then turned down the opportunity of a lifetime to go to a doctor for free because she didn't like the choice of doctor.
She didn't like
any sense.
She didn't like the chance of losing her prescription.
Well, I don't even think
let's be clear about that. I think she does. With a mental illness and what is it? What do you call it? Not a chronic disease.
Connective tissue disorder.
Connective tissue disorder. Yeah, 100%. She was on some kind of
disability,
mind-altering medication.
And by the way, I don't even like to talk because so many people claim it and they don't have it.
No, I agree.
It's not like a fibromyalgia thing, which often means we don't know what's wrong with you. Some people have that nerve pain, nerve damage.
Right.
Something they can test for and narrow down really specifically.
Yeah.
I mean, meaning they can look at genetic mutations and say, oh, your life expectancy is in the 40s. If you have the cardiac tissue version, that's the connective tissue, the collagen of the heart is affected. Thank God I don't have that.
Yeah.
They can test and say, you're going to lose your teeth in about 5 years because the collagen in your gums can't hold your teeth in. Like, it's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the thing is she was okay with seeing a specialist about that.
Yeah.
When he said, I guess I needed 2 specialists in California.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, great. The second he said, I want to send you to my own therapist, that's when her face changed.
Yeah.
Her attitude changed. Total, I have addicts in my family.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that was. She got immediately scared that she's about to lose what she's addicted to.
Yeah.
Right.
Or what she feels like she can't live without, some kind of SSRI or whatever she's getting prescription. She could probably buy off the street for more money, but probably have an insurance pay for it. Mm-hmm. California especially. Yeah. She got scared. She's about to lose her prescription.
Yeah. Do you know what someone like that does in a communist country? Any of these people? Do you know what they primarily would do? Starve.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a mental illness.
Yeah.
Hunger.
And no one would do a thing because they would be too concerned with surviving themselves.
Yes.
That's how it always works. And so I don't really. It's that insane. I mean, think about it. Parasite's vote counts just as much as the host. And these people will always, just so you know, you'll run into them all the time. I've applied for 400 jobs. Really? They're almost always lying. Anyone who is even remotely able-bodied and of working age in this country can find a job. It may not be a great job. They can find a job. Right? Drop a pin right here where we are. It could give me anyone who sat down there, and I could find them several jobs within 3 miles of here. I'd bet my life on it. But they use this and it goes unchallenged because people are enabling them. Oh, yeah, well, must be tough. Applied for 400 jobs.
Would you move to Florida? Oh, Florida.
Oh, Florida.
I mean, but it has a job.
By the way, he went, Fort Lauderdale. Like, that's not a bad place.
He said Florida. He goes, Florida.
It's like, yeah.
They hate Florida.
Yeah.
The bastion of right-wing mentality. I go to Florida and I can't be gay. Are you gay? No.
Oh, what?
But maybe I want to be later.
Nice temperatures, hot Latinas, and beautiful beaches, no state tax? No.
You can't be gay in Florida? Have you been to West Palm Beach?
I want to be in Park Slope.
It's incredibly gay.
But Florida's where the enemy lives.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, all right, so I'm done. I'm done trying to, this is why I have no leftist friends. I seriously, I don't. I don't understand that phrase anymore. And people are like, I'm conservative and I have liberal friends. I'm like, I understand those words individually, but in combination, it doesn't make sense to me. Anymore. Maybe at one point in time, but
no more.
Nope. Oh, you're still here, which is a miracle in the age of Instagram and shorts. I think you have some shorts up there. You have an attention span that is longer than that of a fruit net. So thank you. I'm glad you probably would like it a lot more if you actually head over and subscribe on Rumble. I'm live there 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, where free speech is still alive. Go to Rumble. Get off the social media ghetto that is YouTube, with a lot of homosexual activity here on YouTube. There may be some on Rumble, but I haven't seen it.